Hello and welcome to Supreme Commander Forged Alliance. This is Eye of the Storm, and you can also conveniently see the number here of the replay, so I won't post it in the description. People should probably already know how to use that number to get a replay. And I want to do something different. This is Pachuriko versus Zoc, and just go from Pachuriko's point of view, and it'll be a series of games with Pachuriko on the ladder. See the little symbol? That means it's on the ladder. And hopefully we learn something. Pachuriko is one of the top players. He's got really high APM. And actually, things like APM, you can check. I'm going to put a link in the description. Pachuriko has been making some really awesome tools to analyze replays. You guys should definitely check it out. Yeah, for example, to see what the APMs are between Zoc and Pachuriko for all these games, you would need to download this replay, which should be straightforward. But hopefully we see some new things from Pachuriko, something we can learn. Of course, the one problem with this game, you might learn things and understand them. However, executing them is a whole other story. So 5 pigeons, there's no doubt that he's going to get the Hydro. Actually, let's check out. Yeah, it looks like first 6 engineers and then a whole bunch of Manti. That's yeah, so it looks like he's not going to put too much into raiding. He's going to be strictly defensive units. Going to send those on either direction. This is just single engineer on the Hydro. He's got 2 air factories planned. But we'll see what kind of raiding he wants to do. And it looks like infinite. So a total of 3 Manti before he goes infinite NG spam. And you can see with 5 pigeons, a single engineer, now it's going to be 3 engineers. This is quite nice, actually. We'll see how, what does he make from here? A scout, inties, 2 scouts, or 1 scout, 2 inties, a bomber, and then an intie. So far, not really clear where he's going to send those. The ACU is going to go along the ground horizontally. Yeah, if you can get this expansion and then this expansion and the middle, you're in a really good shape. Even if you don't get the corners, because you can always attempt to deny if you do good defense here in the middle. But if you grab one of those corners, but really this is a huge expansion, and this is. Here comes an interceptor. What's coming out of this one? A scout and a bunch of inties. I think he may have canceled the scout from this one. But the power, oh no, that was the other scout that's already up there. The power balance for Pachuriko, very impressive. Is he getting a tech to mask structure? No, he's not. He couldn't possibly afford it. So instead of rushing a tech to mask structure, which is a common thing to do, I guess one thing that we do see that Pachuriko doesn't is are the economies. I'll probably get rid of that, just so it's a little more realistic. So he has no idea what the Zoc's economy is. And here comes the first bomber. So you can see how good his scouts are, and this is important. There is the tech to mask extractor. Scouting from Pachuriko is excellent. And he also sees that there's a second air factory coming up. And the 2 engineers in the middle. So you can see how important these scouts are. He has a very good picture of what's happening. He also saw the ACU going in that direction, going horizontally. So likely this Mantis will run into the ACU unless it's stopped. What is that? See, are the 2 engineers going to fight? Zoc is going to go after him. Not sure who was quicker, but it... Oh, friendly fire. Pachuriko with a little friendly fire. So a good-looking Air Force that's assisting unfinished mass extractor. And here comes a transport. But I don't think I've seen a single time that Pachuriko has stalled yet. 2 engineers in the power spam. He's gonna win the first air battle. Appears that it's a attack move. The bomber's out of the way. Scouting continues, and a really good Mantis, one of the original Manti. kills an expanding engineer. Fairly big land spam, 3 factories. Moving up, still no navy, and he knows exactly when to make the navy because he's got the scouts. There's a bomber here. It's a great place to drop. We'll see what exactly he does with this transport. Whole bunch of engineers. Looks like he's going to try to take the top corner. That'll be tough given that the ACU. Oh, excellent. Excellent play from Pachuriko. Wonder if the game sound is a little low. I'm going to turn it up. And the bomber from Pachuriko doing a great job. I'm really happy I chose Pachuriko as the player to do this with. You can really tell what's happening. So if a couple point defenses are put down, Pachuriko might not be able to hold on to it to that spot in the long run, but he'll definitely make it very difficult for Zoc to stake it, as we see the first naval. And the upgrading, you can see the third tech to mass extractor on the way. We see only the second one for Pachuriko. So Pachuriko is a bit behind on upgrades. Pachuriko actually has just found out that there are no point defenses here, though, so the ACU for Pachuriko will have no problems. See multiple point defenses in a factory. Be interesting to see exactly how Pachuriko goes about defending this corner. And it looks like Pachuriko also has made a naval factory. Still perfect power balance going for a submarine and sonar. Absolutely no problems in the bottom. In the middle appears that another engineer has made it. Yeah, these bombers for Pachuriko are giving great coverage, and looks like a drop, an aggressive drop. Looks like there are no NGs here, it's just units. He's going to try to deny that radar plus that mass extractor. Zoc is going to put up a point defense. I really want to switch to Zoc's view and see if you can see this. But actually, it could be the case if there is no radar here, which I don't think there is. Zoc might not know that this exists. He might be thinking that if he just cuts this off, he'll be in good shape. A successful drop, although the transport gets killed. And the bomber from Pachuriko. One thing I'd like to remind people, he is facing Zoc, so playing this well is not very easy, but it's very difficult against Zoc. And you can see 2 factories now. This is, of course, a map that was featured in the last Voice of Reason Elite Championship, where Zoc was quite dominant against Pachuriko. And both these players are signed up, so this Saturday, don't miss the second tourney. It's a $50 prize to the winner, plus $10 to the winner of the game of the tourney, and people will have a chance who are around to vote on what that is. So definitely be on FAF this Saturday. And on Sunday, there is a tourney, the Clan Wars. I'm not exactly 100% sure what the format is, but my prediction is that the BC clan is going to dominate. They usually stack, so when you allow them to stack, they'll dominate. You can see Zoc having all kinds of problems here. Meanwhile, Zoc with a big push. And Pachuriko has to do something about this. He only has a single factory. There's a frigate here. Frigates are quite deadly, especially against engineers or against Tech 1. So Pachuriko is going to throw down a point defense. He's going to think twice. Plus, that frigate is providing radar. Very annoying to have a frigate. And finally, some power problems. Yeah, things beginning to not look as good anymore for Pachuriko. Yeah, he continues to upgrade. He's working on his 5th Tech 2 mass extractor. He's got his 2nd land factory. He does not have the capability to overcharge. He has fixed his power problems. He's got Tech 2 air, something that I missed. He's completely given up the corner. So this ACU could be in a bit of trouble. You can see a wall being put up. However, Pachuriko is a lone ACU. A rule of thumb, if you're facing about 20 tanks with an ACU, you should be able to win with a low micro. But if it's more, you could be in trouble. Of course, artillery changes that. If you stand still and a couple arty shells hit you, you become really weak. However, I think yeah, Zaka split up his forces. Oh, and this wall is just built just in time by Pachuriko. Pachuriko, a Tech 2 sonar, just still Tech 1 Navy. He has taken over the middle, and in this corner, he's doing quite well. But one thing I gotta say, the economy balance that I'm seeing from Pachuriko has been, I mean, top notch, and his scouting has been excellent. Although in the last few minutes, scouting has been much weaker because he's been really busy microing, because we haven't seen Zoc Space in a little while. However, we do see Tech 2 gunships. We'll see how he uses those. Here comes a scout. Speak of the devil. Zoc. The Medusa is one arty. You don't have to dodge. If you dodge, you just might. Oh wow, that's a big. Oh, there's a transport. Still Tech 1. That's important to see. Tech 2 land. That's interesting. And yeah, the submarines versus frigates, I think the correct choice. Actually, Tech 2 land from Pachuriko as well. Both players choosing Tech 2 land. And also, you gotta see there is power storage now, so Pachuriko can go ahead and overcharge. And I did not expect this outcome. Pachuriko just held on to a spot. Zoc ran away. Meanwhile, Zoc continues to assault. There's Tech 2, Tech 1 point defense is still up. Yeah, I think this is kind of inevitable that Zoc will take this. It's really a question of how long Pachuriko can prevent Zoc from taking it in the middle. Yeah, this is what the rhinos will do for you. Although that rhino died, took on a Tech 1 point defense, took it out. And here come gunships. Will this be the end? Can Zoc do something against this? He needs an air force there immediately. See how big this force is. Zoc, 5,000. So a bit hopeful there from Pachuriko. He just threw away about 6 gunships. It's about 1,000 something mass, about 200 mass per gunship. So a good attempt. Probably made Zoc's heart jump a little bit. However, it didn't really make a big difference. Perhaps he was hoping that Zoc would get scared and run into the water, and he could hold on to his base for a little longer. Meanwhile, these rhinos definitely attempting to make an impact, but rhinos from Pachuriko as well. As the corner for Pachuriko getting assaulted. And what happened here? Looks like some raids. Oh, Tech 2 Navy. Missed that. A destroyer. We'll see where that destroyer goes. One thing we gotta say, there's a big air force. 30 kills for Pachuriko. Big air force for Zoc. So if he's got Tech 2, where is that destroyer gonna go? It's just gonna sit in the middle. So if Zoc has Tech 2 air, which yeah, he actually does, torpedo bombers or corsairs can take on these destroyers. They do have fairly decent anti-air. Yeah, Cybern Navy is just beautiful tech. Very good units. Destroyer, very nice range. Here comes the transport. I'm not sure where that's going to go. But Wagners, I've been calling those rhinos. I apologize. The Wagners have been excellent. Oh, I should call them Wangers. I used to call them Wangers. And another successful drop. That was an engineer that just got vaporized as soon as it dropped. And it looks like Pachuriko has completely solved all of his problems. These Wagners put enough pressure on Zoc that he had to retreat. Here comes a destroyer. The cruiser is also coming in. You can see that Pachuriko held up on his destroyer a little bit before sending it in. He waited for the cruiser, so the cruiser might be just in time to save that destroyer. We'll see. We'll have to keep an eye on exactly how Pachuriko moves around. Looks like Pachuriko getting a couple more. Oh, wow. Okay. I was praising Pachuriko's ability to scout. And this surprised us, which means it also surprised Pachuriko. Oh my god, 300 health. Is there going to be a torpedo bomber? Here comes a torpedo bomber. I think this is the end for Pachuriko. Unless he's got stealth. With stealth, Cybern with stealth actually, is a very big pain to kill because, nope, I don't think he had it. Unless you have Navy right there to spot him directly, or you have Tech 3 spy planes or Omni, you won't be able to see it. So I think on water maps, just getting stealth in your ACU is a must. And I think this could have been close. This Navy was getting very close. This cruiser was also trying to get close to perhaps save. So the Tech 2 Navy was just a little late. If it was a little earlier, I think it would have put enough pressure. Although with all those gunships, Zog definitely had the option to kill that destroyer very quickly. He probably could kill that cruiser pretty quickly as well. But if there was multiple cruisers, it would definitely be a problem. Let's check out the score. Mass N. Yeah, you can see Pachuriko. Wow. He was dominating. I think Zog really snatched this victory. Energy. Yeah, also Pachuriko dominating. One important stat is energy wasted. You can see Zog. It's all relative, but mass wasted. You cannot possibly not waste any mass because that initial second when you get teleported, you're making plus 1 mass. So those first 5 seconds, but the rest of the time, absolutely nothing wasted. All right, so another game between Zoc and Pachuriko. This time, looks like Zoc's playing a random. Pachuriko sticking to Cybern. Nice to see. Used to always be Seraphim. Pachuriko claiming OP Aeon. We'll see actually what happens. OP random. That's a great conversation. This map, though, actually is... yeah, it does have some pretty flat ground. So in some situations, I think Aeon could be pretty good unless you do something about it, in which case Aeon could be pretty bad. But in situations like this mountain with the raids and things like that, I think Cybern has a fairly big advantage. See the build order, first 3 engineers. He's going to get the Hydra, first 2. Typically, yep, here's that PGen. Usually it's a rule of thumb when you have a Hydra and 3 PGens. It's a good situation to be in when you have a second air. Yes, a second air you want to have 3 PGens and a Hydra, which is equal to 8 PGens. So a lot of manual reclaim. Pachuriko is known for doing that. He did get himself a little bit of power. Oh man. Yeah, in the last game it was quite dominant by Zoc, I think. Well, actually, no, it was... I'm thinking of the game back in Voice of Reason tourney. That was quite dominant after the first 13 minutes. Last game, Pachuriko actually, I think, kind of gave it away. If he would have scouted those gunships, he could have made enough protection, or if just he would have sent the cruiser back to his ACU, he could have lived. Here you can see a protective Mantis. And Pachuriko, no hunters. On this map, actually, raiding is quite powerful, but I guess he's thinking perhaps he's afraid of the Auroras. Using his Mantis strictly defensively, wants to hold on to this engineer. You can see the plan for this Engie. 2 mask extractors, a point defense, and then a radar. See if he actually gets to finish it. To the other side, we have... you can see the first action of this game. It's a flare. Zoc attempting to dodge. He is successfully dodging, so even though this flare died, it did take down the health on this Mantis, so next time it faces, say, an Aurora, or it gets bombed, it's actually going to die. So it's a significant amount of damage to that Aurora. A bomber now from second air and a scout. Third land coming up. This looks like there might be some Tech 2 land in Pachuriko's future. See what that bomber does. Scout got killed fairly quickly, but it did get information that there's air and 2 land. Actually, no, it was off the map. 3rd land coming up. And this is going to be important. Pachuriko not able to dodge at all. Oh, he almost killed that Aurora. You can see if that Mantis didn't get damaged by the flare, he would have easily killed that Aurora. And that's because lately, after the last patch, the Aurora has been very sluggish. Oh, wow. This bomber thinks it's EAF. That wasn't very good. Yeah, what is the worst bomber now? I think yeah, on the 2nd try, there goes that NG. The ACU for Zox in the middle, 2nd bomber coming in from Pachuriko. 1st bomber is going to die. Let's see if that 2nd bomb can do something. This Aurora is going to kill an NG. It's going to be some problems. Looks like he just bombed the factory and now he's going to die afterwards. And yet another bomber. Bombers and scouts. That's all Pachuriko is making. And once again, check out that power balance. That's pretty ridiculous. And he is going Tech 2 land. Looks like so far pretty successful on his expansion on the right side. On the left, he did have that problem. Flare and Aurora combined to deny the Mantis and kill the engineer. So I think 3rd bomber. Still haven't seen any interceptors. And after that initial bombing, I guess a series of bombing missions, Pachuriko actually paused his air factory. Now he's going to unpause it because actually I don't know if he really needs to. Pachuriko now getting pushed back. He's got to be very careful because he did go Tech 2 land. He could be kind of low on units and he's going hoplites, so we might get a chance to see hoplite versus Aurora Micro. Oh, Zoc attempting to block Pachuriko. He's actually doing it quite well. So this is not a very good situation for Pachuriko. You see he's getting isolated from his base. Units trying to rush in to try to save him. Plenty of air for Zoc to know exactly what's happening. And we're going to see a little dancing. Pachuriko is going to try to use the map to his advantage. And actually Zoc doesn't have too many. And once Manti get close to the Auroras, they really have no chance. Total air domination. Hoplites. How many hoplites are there now? I think that's the first one. Elsewhere we see good raiding units from Pachuriko. And back in the middle, Pachuriko, 5,400 health, Zoc 7,000. Zoc pretty far away from his base. And as soon as those hoplites make it, but this hoplite's a bit... Oh, both of these hoplites are way out of position, but you can see the range on those things. They're huge. Oh, I think if the hoplites were here next to Pachuriko, he'd be in good shape. A little point defense. Pachuriko is hoping this point defense will save him, but I think... Yeah, and there is no artillery here. Medusa getting a little too close. See if he can get any kills. And another good raiding units. Oh man, I need to get rid of that. Yeah, these hoplites need to get in the game. Can I see yet another hoplite? Yeah, it's just a straight up hoplite spam. So you can see how annoying it is not to have raider coverage. You have no idea what's happening here. 2 really nice raiders in this position. And Pachuriko now pushing back against Zoc. And this could be, yeah, OP Aeon. Aurora's just paper, or worse than paper. I think they're glass. Cybern's paper. Aurora, I don't know what the heck it is. It's not even glass. Glass is pretty good. So much mass in the bank for Pachuriko. He needs to get more build capacity. Yeah, he definitely either upgrade mass extractors, but he's afraid of probably not having enough power for it. But Zoc this entire time has had pretty good air coverage and now no more radar. Pachuriko needs to get a radar very fast because he's been very dangerous with his ACU. As if he's not really playing for a win. 7 kills, getting hit. And without radar coverage, it's very difficult to face Aeon. Because they do have that range. They outrange the ACU. I think this is just Big mistake from Pachuriko. It is possible to dodge aurora shots, especially at long distance. And Zoc, sensing blood, moves in. Oh, you can see those hoplites with a huge splash. Pachuriko is going to run into a massive force. Will the hoplites deal enough damage? Pachuriko down to 100 health. Zoc lives with 800 health. Think of the end there. Big. Oh, it's a lot of paused factories. Big micro problems for Pachuriko. He had very strong units, but he, without radar coverage, he was wandering in right next to Zoc. So no surprise that Zoc was able to snatch that victory. But I think what we saw is that against Manta, Medusas, things like that, there were no big problems for Cybern. Maybe somebody will disagree with me. I mean, overall, if you try to take on Aeon with just your Tech 1 tanks, you're probably going to lose. Stealth field coming up. But one thing we did learn that was interesting, Pachuriko went a lot of bombers early on and then paused his air factory. So that's something to do, because if he wouldn't have paused, he would have been completely power stalling. And while he was paused, he got his Tech 2 land. That's something to keep in mind when you're playing and you're trying to rush Tech 2 land. It's a very aggressive air. That forces your enemy to make a whole bunch of interceptors. A whole bunch of interceptors means that your enemy has really good scouting, but that doesn't mean they can really hurt you. So if Zoc would have quickly recognized and switched to bombers earlier, could have probably been a nice counter to this quick Tech 2 land. Because if Zoc would have switched to bombers, then most likely Pachuriko would have had to pause his Tech 2 upgrade, maybe make a couple more P-gens, and then restart, and probably restart his air factory. And also making Tech 1 anti-air flag, stationary anti-air flags, actually does cost quite a bit of power. Alright, let's actually check out the stats. Thought Pachuriko played it very well. I mean, look at this. The problem was the micro at the end. He kind of threw it away, and I totally feel for him because I do that in every single game. Let's check out the wasted. Pachuriko wasted a bunch of mass at the end, I guess. That's uncharacteristic, but in energy, he was very good. Alright, yet another game between Pachuriko and Zoc. This is now a completely different map. I think it'd be nice to mix it up. Zoc with yet another faction. Pachuriko sitting on Cybern. Both games Zoc won, and in both games Pachuriko out-ecoed him, really, not really outplayed him, but had better economies. But it was scouting in the first one, and the second one it was a micro mistake with the ACU. So on this map, in case people don't know, the ditch, this map has, it's fair to say there's enough mass here to make a Paragon. Mass in terms of reclaim. So if you pick up all these rocks, there's rocks here. I mean, there's rocks just everywhere. So it actually becomes a game of map control. If you can deny large portions of the map, you can go ahead and grab the reclaim. It's a lot like DeRosa's, but I think it actually has even more mass than DeRosa's. And it also has possibility to make Navy. So we'll see how this one goes. First engineer, not surprisingly, is going to grab mass. Interesting. It's not a straight up factory attack move. It's a move order than attack move. We'll look at the behavior of that engineer to see exactly what that does. A lot of power. And that's the thing, if you have excess mass, you're going to need a lot of power. You're not going to need mass extractors, although Pachuriko did make one. How many mass extractors you make is completely a function of how far away the mass is. Yeah, that's I would say that's pretty good behavior from that engineer. Probably wants to move it up a little bit. He's also going second air, and yeah, as much build capacity as he can on the power. It's really going to be a power race. Get rid of that. Yep, first engineer getting massed, then the next three assisting, and then the fifth engineer getting the mass extractors, and eventually the Hydra. So here, from this initial spot, you got to expand to the top, to natural expansion. A lot of reclaim here. You got to expand to the bottom and also to the back, and eventually you want to get onto this plateau. And actually, this plateau, it's a symmetric map. You can, if you can drop off on the enemy plateau, you can steal quite a bit of mass. And of course, Pachuriko knows he's facing Seraphim, and Seraphim can use their floating arty to pretty good effect here to get across these positions. A really good game ender. Usually on this map, the game just goes straight to the T3, T4 stage, Tech 3 air, nukes, things like that. The bug for Cybern could be a very good game ender, but before that, we are sure to see Tech 2 gunships drops. And one thing that's really nice to do early on, drop off engineers on the enemy territory. You can see basically 2 land masses. To walk around takes a long time, but if you drop off and you can start a base. So this is a good area to drop off your Zox. If you're at Pachuriko, you got to check out this area. This area. Go and put radar everywhere. And Navy could also be nice. Although Cyber Navy isn't really known for its bombardment. Until you get, of course, to the nukes. Some bombers. Interesting. So Pachuriko is going to try to prevent Zoc from constructing any factories in this area. If he can do that, he can deny quite a bit of mass, but it's typically in excess no matter what you do, unless you deny them every single direction. You can see a nice scout. And multiple air factories, also some land factories, and bombers. That's very critical that Pachuriko did see those bombers coming out, so you should probably switch to interceptors. A lot of air factories, and looks like a drop. We'll see where that drop goes. It's really the critical thing early on is to spot enemy drops and neutralize them, as well as drop off your own engineers and try to establish a foothold on the other side. Because if you suddenly start expanding and building, expanding resources on building up a bunch of land units on your own side, those are going to be 100% defensive. Those are not going to be something offensive you can use against your enemy. I think that the transport may have been spotted, so that could be dangerous. So where is that going? It's going in multiple spaces. Amazingly, Pachuriko is mass stalling a little bit. He's already reclaimed 7,500. And let's see, this bomber already got 1 kill. That's an excellent bomb. Total 4 kills, very annoying. The biggest thing about that, besides killing engineers, is that it does force Zoc to send his interceptors back, so they're not busy killing your transports and things like that. It really becomes a, okay, this is dangerous. This engineer, don't want to lose it if you're Pachuriko. Concentration becomes critical, so if you can do something that is easy for you but will take a whole bunch of different moves for the enemy. That was another bomber kill. Yeah, the fact that the factory is up is very good for Pachuriko. Yeah, the bomber's not going to kill the factory. And small air battles in multiple positions. So Pachuriko now has, he's got Tech 2 air already. See how long how many PGens he makes before he goes resource allocation in the ACU. That's the typical thing. 3 or 4 PGens, resource allocation, and then Tech 3 air. Tech 3 air is very good on maps which are large like this, just because of its speed. Still no Navy. 15,000 reclaim. Do we see any Tech 2 mass extractors? Actually, all these have been upgraded already. That's thinking long term. Sometimes on these maps, people don't even do anything with mass extractors and just focus on getting something like a nuke or an experimental, some game ender. Because upgrading mass extractors does cost quite a bit of power, so
You don't want to have any kind of power stalls. That's really what's slowing Pachuriko down right now. Putting a lot of build capacity on that Tech 2 P-Gen. And even if after he finished it, he's still having power problems. Yeah, this map, I'll speed it up a little bit. Here comes some Navy. Definitely a very different dynamic than what we saw previously on the other two maps. Here come some gunships. Gonna go on a raid, but one thing that Pachuriko was able to prevent, I'm not sure if Zok even tried, is any kind of building on his base. He's also been pretty good with his transports. He's got engineers up and down the map. He hasn't established a foothold on the enemy's side. He's just killed a Tactic gunship. And what he's seeing is something very similar to what he has. And is that... no, that's not resource allocation. Looks like an air fight that Pachuriko is not going to continue. Zok wins air on his own side. Gunships are going to be sent in a very different position. And here comes a drop. That was a Tech 2 drop. Gunships from Zok harassing Pachuriko's lower position. That Tech 2 transport is very fast. And that has some Tech 2 engineers here. So this could be very bad for Pachuriko. Tech 2 anti-air, that's going to give good protection against gunships. See these gunships coming in, but if that Tech 2 air is built, it will be able to defend. However, these gunships can kill as many engineers as possible. As we're seeing Pachuriko really spamming Tech 2 power. He's got so much mass. Oh, and that Tech 2 power is not finished yet. It'll be extremely close. Oh, I think it was... are they going to fit? Pachuriko is not paying attention. That was tragic. That should not have happened. I think that's going to cost Pachuriko a lot, because that Tech 2 flak isn't going anywhere. If it wasn't... oh, that engineer was nearly dead too. So now Pachuriko's game is much more difficult. He has to deal with all those factories, which will build more engineers. And that means there needs to be land here for Pachuriko. We do see a bit of naval. Pachuriko is kind of forced into making navy because of all the floating arty that can potentially come at him, but a lot of Tech 2 gunships from Zok, who has got Tech 3 air, which has just been scouted. A Tech 3 engineer came out. Many Tech 2 P-gens. We see resource allocation yet? Still no resource allocation. Just Tech 2 P-gens from both players. And this is a lot of gunships. I think there could be a mistake here. Oh, looks like that Tech 2 flak was killed. There was enough gunships to kill it. And a couple Tech 2 factories. If these start making flak, it can be a big problem for Zok. And Zok's probably going to send some air here. He's not. And Wangers up top, creating all kinds of problems for Zok. Guess that's one advantage Cybern do have at the Tech 2 stage. The Wanger, significantly better than the Seraphim Tech 2 tank. And one of those units which I have no idea what the name is. No Tech 3 air yet for Pachuriko, but there is Tech 3 air for Zok. Cruisers making an appearance. 41 kills on that cruiser. Oh wow, that's a very nice unit. More cruisers for Pachuriko. Pachuriko using some mods which tell you what he's doing. 57 kills on that cruiser before it dies, but another one coming in. Tech 2 gunships coming in as well. And I think Pachuriko, I'm not really sure exactly how well Zok is doing. That Tech 3 air is definitely worrisome. But Pachuriko is doing quite well. He's got total coverage on his side. His navy's pretty good. He's been harassing, and the Wagners, his main offensive force, are having a pretty big impact. There are some issues with these gunships. And Pachuriko has his ACU not under some shields. And now there is some Tech 3 anti-air or ASF from Zok. Gunships from Pachuriko continue to harass. Yeah, you can see how they're spread all over the map. That's the best way to attack with gunships. And a lot of land that was built for Pachuriko that's no longer necessary. It appears that, yep, resource allocation has just been completed. Tech 3 air has been started. Is that, yeah, Tech 3 land from Pachuriko. Tech 3 land brick drops on this map are very potent. However, with so many Tech 2 gunships on both sides, you really gotta make a whole bunch of flak together with your bricks. Which basically means no drop is complete without some flak mixed in. Wagner needs to continue to push. And I think it's been like 2-3 minutes of Zoc having ASF with no answer from Pachuriko. We'll see how much build capacity is going to be thrown by Pachuriko. You can see the reclaim, 151,000. The YOLO, the T4 nuke is 190,000. That tells you just how much mass there is, and it looks like there's still some few spots left over, and actually there's a lot of mass still left to reclaim. It's Cruiser with 44 kills, submarines from Zoc, destroyers from Pachuriko, and the Wagner spam. Oh wow, this is a very impressive Wagner spam here. I'll slow it down. This is Tech 3. Oh wow, that's a lot of upgrading. This is, if Pachuriko can kill this, that's a big investment from Zoc. And power is still an issue for Pachuriko. One advantage that Seraphim do have over Cybern on this map is the Seraphim ACU has 2 resource allocations. Cybern only have 1, so you can get a lot more power early on unless, yes, I think spamming Tech 3 power is much more critical. And you can see planning your base is also very critical. Pachuriko losing a little time because he's got to move his engineers around. Also, Tech 1 Pigeon's in the way. But these Wagners have been excellent, and it appears that Pachuriko has one Navy. A big piece of scouting. He's got to see what's happening. He's going to see that there is a chicken that started. It's definitely something you want to know about. But the main thing you want to see is, oh wow, that's a lot of Tech 3 power. Zoc is way ahead in terms of power, which means he's way ahead on air. He did lose Navy though. And with that much power, nukes are definitely a possibility. So how much damage can this Navy do? Yeah, this chicken is being built very quickly by Zoc. I think, yeah, the Wagners are going to kill everything. Bricks now too. Is that a successful drop? Looks like a drop because of the way they're standing. The bricks might have a chance to kill all that. So Zoc's expansions are quite vulnerable, as we're finally seeing Tech 3 air being constructed. But Pachuriko's been in a pretty big power stall over the last few minutes, trying to stay up with Zoc in terms of air. Gunships from Zoc. Yeah, these bricks are not getting any orders. There's cool things you can do with this. You can go sideways like that. If you want to get real nice view of the battlefield from the point of view of the units. Check out all that mass though from Pachuriko. He's finally getting rid of some of those PGens. And you can actually play planetary annihilation if you set this to 200. If you get close, the maps become spherical. But sorry, losing focus here, and that's why maps which are eco-fest like this are not as fun. But the Wagners, though, from Pachuriko are, I think they did just enough to kill Zoc, although Zoc was way ahead on power. So, yeah, I think this will be the last game between Pachuriko and Zoc. We'll have to move on and see some other games, but we'll definitely check how much mass It looks like Pachuriko really took over, but in energy, I imagine Zach was way ahead, especially at the end. How about wasted mass? Yeah. You spend $500,000 and you waste 100. That's the proper way to play.